Let's ask a question most people avoid. What happens to the economy we know if AI replaces a large portion of human jobs? I'm not just talking about factory robots or self-driving trucks. I'm talking about the thinking jobs. Accounting, legal research, coding, marketing, customer service, even complex medical analysis. If machines can think, write, analyze, design, and optimize faster and cheaper than humans, where does the income come from? Because our current economic system runs on a simple, closed loop. People work. People earn income. People spend that money. Businesses grow because of that spending. The economy expands. It's a cycle that has worked for centuries. But AI directly touches the very first link in that chain. People work. If you break that link, the entire structure shifts. This isn't just a technological update. It is a fundamental tension in the architecture of human society. Historically, technology replacing labor isn't new. We've been here before. Kind of. The Industrial Revolution replaced manual labor with steam and iron. Farmers became factory workers. The Computer Revolution replaced clerical filing with databases. Factory workers became office workers. Each time, people feared a total economic collapse. But those technologies were tools that still required a human operator. A tractor still needed a farmer. A computer still needed a typist. Productivity rose, living standards improved, and the economy adapted by creating new roles we couldn't have imagined. But AI is different. It isn't just replacing muscle. It is replacing cognition. It isn't just automating the doing. It is automating the deciding. When a machine can diagnose a disease better than a doctor or write a legal contract better than a lawyer, we aren't just moving labor from the field to the office. We are hitting the very middle of the economic pyramid, the intellectual labor that defines the modern middle class. AI dramatically increases productivity. This is the great multiplier. One person equipped with AI tools can now do the work of 5, 10, or even 50 people. From a pure economic perspective, this is a miracle. More output, less cost, higher efficiency. But here is the structural problem. If productivity increases by 1,000%, but wages only move by 3%, who captures that extra value? Historically, we've already seen this pattern. When productivity rises, ownership benefits more than labor. If AI makes companies more profitable while requiring 90% fewer employees, that profit doesn't stay with the workers who were let go. It flows directly to the shareholders, the founders, and the owners of the tech infrastructure. AI could widen the ownership gap into a canyon. It allows a very small group of people to control a very large amount of productive power. If labor is no longer the primary driver of value, then the person who owns the algorithm becomes infinitely more powerful than the person who offers their time. What happens if jobs disappear faster than they are created? This is called structural unemployment. Unlike a temporary recession, this is a permanent shift in how the economy is built. If millions of people lose income at once, consumer spending drops. If spending drops, business revenue drops. If revenue drops, investment slows. The economic loop weakens because the system is built on wage income. If we can no longer rely on the 40-hour work week as the primary way to distribute wealth, the system must adapt. And that adaptation, moving from a world of trading time for money to something else, could be the most uncomfortable period in human history. We are watching a system designed for the 1900s Try to run software from the 2000s. The gears are starting to grind. Now, let's look at the optimistic scenario. In a world powered by AI, the cost of production could plummet. Imagine energy becoming nearly free because of AI-optimized fusion. Imagine transportation, healthcare, and software becoming virtually free to produce. This is the zero marginal cost theory. If the cost of living drops faster than the drop in wages, you might actually be wealthier, even if you earn less. If a house that costs $500,000 today can be 3D printed for $50,000 tomorrow, your purchasing power changes. But this only works if the competition remains high and the owners don't hoard the cost savings. The transition from expensive labor to cheap abundance is where the volatility lives. Governments may eventually be forced to redistribute AI-generated wealth through universal basic income. If machines generate the profit, a portion of that profit must fund the citizens to keep the consumer cycle alive. This would fundamentally change the social contract. However, we might also see human-centric jobs we can't predict yet. Social media managers didn't exist 20 years ago. Cybersecurity specialists didn't exist 40 years ago. Human creativity, emotional intelligence, strategy, and soul still matter. AI can simulate a conversation, but humans still value the human in the loop. The future might not be jobless. It might just be unrecognizable. The real issue isn't whether AI replaces jobs. It's who owns the AI. In an economy where machines do most work, labor income becomes less central. Capital income becomes dominant. That means stocks, equity, assets, and ownership stakes are the only ways to truly participate in the growth. The economy is shifting from a work-based model to an asset-based model. This connects back to the salary machine. If labor becomes less valuable relative to capital, the structural advantage shifts entirely toward ownership. You don't want to compete with the machine. You want to own a piece of it. The economy isn't a static building. It's a living organism. It breathes, it breaks, and it evolves. AI is simply the next stage of that evolution, a shift that might finally decouple survival from labor. We've spent centuries defining our value by what we do for a paycheck. But as the salary machine is rewritten by silicon, we have to find a new metric for success. Wealth in the future might not be about how many zeros are in your bank account, but how much of your life you actually own. As technology drives the cost of production toward zero, the market value of your labor may fall, but the intrinsic value of your time rises. This transition will be volatile. Transitions always are. They create friction, they create headlines, and they create fear. But that fear isn't a sign of collapse. It's the sound of the old gears grinding as the new ones take hold. The world doesn't need you to be an expert in AI to survive this. It needs you to be an expert in how systems move. It rewards the adaptable and punishes the rigid. Stop fearing the change and start studying the blueprint. Don't just watch the market, watch your time. If you want to look at the world through a structural lens and understand the shifts before they happen, hit subscribe. Let's keep fixing the mechanics together.